And we're live. Welcome back, folks, with another intro to one of our great speakers that will be presenting at the Membership Success Summit at the end of this month, the 29th to the 1st of October. That's the 29th of September to the 1st of October. I'm really looking forward to this actual presentation and my chat with Lisa. So basically, we've got Lisa Princic with us, and I'm going to let you introduce what your subject is and why you chose it and why you thought it was going to be an interesting topic, and maybe you can give us pull the curtain slightly and just give us a couple of things that you would really love for people to get from your presentation, Lisa.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the title has something to do with how your membership fits within your business model. I don't even remember exactly what I said. And the reason why I think it's such an important topic is because people get really stuck with their memberships when they don't know what purpose it serves for the business, and they don't know like when to sell it and like who to sell it to, and it gets really confusing, and I think that stalls people from either starting one or growing it because they just get it lost in between all the other things they're doing. And I think that's why we really need to know our business model. We really need to know the system or the path of action we want people to take and what we ultimately want to sell, so that when we know where the membership fits in, rather than just a lot of people throw it up and go, I'm going to start a membership, and then they don't even think about but when do I introduce this to people and who do I invite? And that gets a bit that's where things start to not go so well. So I think it's just a really important foundational piece. And even if it's already been running for a while, thinking through this will just help you build better funnels, do better marketing, have stronger sales. And I think that's really important. So that's what I'll be talking about.
Oh, it's a fascinating subject. I've never really thought a lot about it myself, about the time, like in every business, there's always a moment to pass it over, to sell it, or to close down, basically, sometimes, but normally to sell the business. The only thing that was coming to mind when you was describing what your topic's going to be about is a lot of membership sites, not exclusively, but a lot of them are very around the key figure. They're personal branded businesses, as I would call it. And I always think that's a little bit tricky to sell them, really, because they're really very linked in branding terms and in reality to one individual. You got any insights about how to deal with that, or if you think it is a slight difficulty anyway?
Well, I mean, most online service providers who are selling a service and selling their coaching or expertise, I mean, most of them are in the same boat, that they are really selling the knowledge and the frameworks that one leader comes up with. So a membership is in a very similar boat, if that's the same kind of approach that you have for other courses, or if you're the one on the webinar all the time doing the talking, if you're the one doing all the sales emails come from you, or any kind of nurture sequence. So basically that's not that different. However, actually in a membership, it's normally a little bit different and separate, because you've often, in many cases, there's a community aspect or a group aspect. And so it becomes a little bit less about the leader and more about the culture and all the other support you have in it. So of all types of one-to-many programs you can have in a service-based business, I would say the membership is probably one of the ones that is the easiest to separate from the main brand leader, because it often has its own name. And I've seen a lot of membership business owners start to do less inside the membership, and they may be part of the sales, but when it comes to delivering the day-to-day, they're actually the moderate, they've got other support team inside and other members who've been around for a while also supporting other people. So it starts to really develop beyond the main leader, I find, more easily.
Yeah, and also you got the strength that you've got monthly or yearly subscriptions, haven't you? Which is a
Oh
big
yeah,
deal.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, you've got a lot of people who are in there for a long period of time, and they are committed. And yes, it's like when it comes to selling any, but again, selling any kind of any kind of business that's being sold based on a service, that's a little trickier to sell. Absolutely. So that's going to be always a consideration, and how what you name it, and how much you position the value in there of being about what they're learning and how they're growing versus signing up because they're into one person or into one leader.
So, what are some of the things that you think, based on all your extensive experience, what are some of the factors that stop people? Let's say they're like any business, I call it getting the wagon wheel rolling. It's always the hardest to get the wheel spinning.
Yeah.
But let's say they've got the wheel just going really quite well, but they want to move to the next level. What are some of the key factors that you feel stops membership owners from really moving their business to the next level?
Probably comes down to one of the things would be committing to their actual avatar, like their ideal member, versus trying to serve everybody. You can work after you get one avatar really clear, like I do this thing for this kind of person, then you can move on and start expanding that a bit more. But I think sometimes the value proposition can be a little bit vague. And so you might have all your super fans join at the beginning, but then after a while, it's not really clear to everyone else, like why this product, like why this service, why is this going to help? And I think the value proposition, as in anything, has to be crystal clear. So
Mhm.
I think that's where people hesitate to narrow down and kind of like put a stake in the sand and says, this is what I do for people, and that's what the membership's going to be about. So that's usually a really, really big thing. And then also, I think just like adding the systems and just committing to the boundaries around what they do in there and what they do for people, and just making sure that the expectations are clear, and they're not over delivering inside and feeling like, oh, all I'm doing is serving people around the clock, and they're not really paying for it. So it's just really keeping that like that
Yeah,
that kind of boundaries clear. I'm like, this is what you get. This is not private coaching. This isn't all these things. So I think people tend to get overwhelmed with the amount that they want to give, and then that puts them into like
well, it is
sometimes
tricky because
sustainable
most
mode.
people, not all, but most people want to offer value, don't they?
Yeah.
They want to be helpful, don't they? Um, but on the other hand, like what you just said, it's tricky because they've got that mindset and because they're in a new business, so they want to um, really please people, and
Yeah.
it's really easy to suffer from burnout and start to build some resentment, isn't it? If you don't have
Yeah.
these boundaries in place, isn't it?
Yeah, and over delivery, like, too. And I always say, and I take a pretty strong stance on the idea is that like most people won't leave because there's not enough content. Most people will leave because you're probably overwhelming them with content and they can't keep up. And we have to recognize that when people join a membership, they're not joining an intensive short-term program where they might give up all the other training and learning they're doing. You might have people who are in several memberships or other programs or have private coaches or whatever. So they're not expecting to get every single thing. And they're going to be able to hop in when they need something
Hmm.
specific. And you're not, you just need to keep that in mind. And they're all taking different pieces, but it doesn't mean you have to like make sure that they're getting something every few days, because they won't be able to keep up with that, and they will probably get overwhelmed. And that's when we want to leave, when we can't keep up, when we don't feel successful.
Oh, I think you made an amazing point there because I kind of call it the war and peace syndrome. Because I get a lot of our clients that, for understandable reasons, Lisa, they think that they really want their membership to be successful. So they build these enormous courses that takes them months and months and months and months and months and months and months.
Yeah.
and they fill them with loads of courses and lessons and modules everywhere. I call it visualitis modularization. And they build a war and peace, and they think that, and I try and advise them that maybe they should back away, because it's actually going to do exactly the opposite, won't it? Then they
Yeah,
hope.
because not everyone will even go in and do the courses in a membership. Some of them will just be there to hop on a Q&A once a month, or they might just grab one template or one how-to, or just get a little bit of feedback in a community, and they're not going to focus just on the training. So I think like it's okay to have some good trainings in there, but you don't need to have like, I think like how many people go back to resource libraries? Like probably a few people specifically are looking for training on something and they'll research, but I don't like, if you've got a membership that's been around for years, people aren't going to be like going back in the archives 2 years. So you can keep it paced, given that just because like having a pile and pile of past stuff doesn't necessarily make it more valuable. So, you don't have to, you can pace yourself and you're teaching other people how to pace too. And it's just always a good thing to teach people.
Yeah, I'm very in with obviously WordPress and with the Lifter LMS plugin, and and the founders are sponsors of the summit, and also Chris is going to be one of the speakers, and he's a personal friend, and they have weekly open Zooms with people that are using Lifter and that are trying to build. And I hear exactly what you're outlining almost every week, Lisa. So I know that you're an experienced individual in this, because I've observed all these things that you're pointing out in these calls, these open calls.
Yeah.
What's your own journey into the world of helping people build great membership, successful membership? How did you particularly get into this field, Lisa?
Well, I've been in the online world for almost 10 years, and mostly starting out and just in business strategy and really interested in business models and different offer development and how people are positioning them and how they're really making them unique and how they're communicating that value. And I think that is all what I've done. And then focusing more specifically on memberships was partly due to the fact that they're a very complex type of offer and they are really open. We don't have to have, they're not all low ticket. They're not all, month to month. Like they can vary. The world is turning towards more of a subscription model, and it's been going this direction for a long time, and it continues. And so paying for access is what people are quite used to. So it really is just an opportunity to allow people to get trained or get information or get help on their own time and at their own pace, as opposed to a course that starts and stops and then they are done and they didn't finish and now there's no more help for them, or something that they just DIY. This gives a little bit more of a hybrid model, but you can choose for it to be expensive. You can choose for it to be low cost, high volume. So it really just comes down to being the most, I think, creative offer that we can literally go, well, here's what my clients need and here's how I like to show up. And then you can kind of add that, what they want with your best and come up with a really creative offer that really gets your clients to the finish line, which is, I think, any offer that can get our clients to the finish line is where you're going to build the brand and create raving fans. So I think it's just an offer that has got more potential than people realize. So
another factor is, I think people, I don't know if you offer it, but I'd imagine you do. I think it's so valuable to have a chat with initial couple hours consultation with somebody like you, or have some one-to-one consultation, and then if you've got some courses of your own to offer, to actually buy in them, because it's going to save you a lot of grief, a lot of wasted time and frustration, isn't it? And, and I just don't think, and I've noticed that, like I say, they have this fixation about the War and Peace course. The other fixation, and don't get me wrong, it's what WP-Tonic helps in the WordPress space, but they get very fixated about technology and platform.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they spend months looking at all the SaaS platforms, and there's quite a few of them. There's, in my mind, only about 4 to 6 that are real contenders. And then they can really get sucked in when they look at the WordPress offerings, because it's its own world, and it has even more choice than the SaaS providers.
Yeah.
And I've had clients come to us that have been spending over a year just worrying and researching about which platform to use.
I know. It seems to be the number one question I get, and not number one, but one of the biggest challenges. And I'd always say to people, this is not that important if you're starting at all. Like, it isn't, because you can probably switch once down the road, but like, do minimum viable, get traction first, and then make a commitment to something complicated, because you don't need everything all in one place. And it's hard to get all your features. And so when you're ready to level up, then level up and spend the time and money. But for now, I think people are overthinking it. And honestly, the members inside my community, the Profitable Membership Club, are just like, they are picking what they like, and their clients or their members show up where they are if they're providing good information. So,
I'm then going to put a couple more questions to you, because otherwise we'll be here all day. And, because I've really enjoyed our chat so far, because there's so much to talk about, isn't there? This is why I'm so pumped up about this summit, because got Pat Flynn, I've got Morton Henderson, I've got Rob Rowling, I've got yourself, I've got the speakers that are going to be at this summit.
It's a lot of experience in there.
Yeah, all for free. You can watch the 2 days for free. It's mind-numbing what value we're providing. Honestly, do believe that. So I think you make a great point, because I think you want the most simplest, cost-effective solution initially, but that probably your requirements for the technology or the platform you choose are rapidly going to change. One of the strengths of WordPress is that it can cope with that change quite easily. But when it comes to a SaaS platform, you'd probably be best to choose the most cost-effective and easiest. And there is they also have this fixation in finding the perfect platform, but it doesn't exist, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And that's the thing, like, it doesn't. And everyone always says, well, when is somebody going to come out with something that does it all? I'm like, but it'll only do it all for a few people, and everyone else will have one other thing that's missing. So it's that conundrum of having, like, everyone has a unique desire for something. And some other people are like, great, but I have all these other pieces. Like, I use Thrivecart, or I use, whatever, and they don't need the all-in-one solution. They've already got their funnel set up. And so not everyone actually needs all the one size fits all solutions. So I really, I think it just comes down to an easier decision than you think to start just by lining up, well, what's my must have? Like, what is the focus of my membership? And if it's, like, if it's a community and it's all like a bunch of people who are really interested in things like sharing their dog stories, then, and that's the main bulk of the offer, which is, just a community-based membership, then it could be as simple as Facebook. But for a lot of other people, if it's business to business or something, they don't necessarily want to be on that platform, but it just means like that, then that becomes a priority. So you just have to decide what are your like must-haves, and then everything else, you just kind of do your best, but then also spend time somewhere where you want to be.
Yeah, the other factor, which is what day one is, I hope day one gives insight, and is I see so much of this, Lisa, that people put what I call the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
They worry about the technology. They worry about building War and Peace. But what they should be worrying initially is building their own tribe, building an online community that really cares about what they might offer to them. And I'm still amazed at the amount of people that feel we'll build it and they will come.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to get very disappointed very quickly. What's
Yeah.
your feeling about that?
Yeah, I absolutely, well, I 100% agree. I mean, it's like it is, as I said, minimum viable like product of MVP. Sell it, then create it, and then build it. I mean, or create as you go. I think launching a membership, you probably want to record as you go, and then start building up, the course inside it with the people who join. I mean, I know that it sometimes works. I mean, I have a member right now who's doing lots of videos for her group, and she's like, I know I probably have overdone it. And thankfully she's had people join right away, but she couldn't help herself because she's got some like real studio type of experience. But she also knew that she didn't need to go like to create so much in advance. And she got lucky because people joined. And for the first time you launch something, you don't know. You can't ever say, I know it's going to go a certain way. It's always about testing. So I really believe you should start as minimally as possible.
I just want to remark what you just said and finish off with something you've opened out with your answer. Basically, it's never been easier actually to build your tribe in some ways. I know it's a very there's a lot of competition out there, but that's why you should find your niche. But if you're passionate about the subject and you've got something to offer, you can do free YouTube, you can do podcasting, you can do social media, joining groups, forums, being helpful. It's really, I think, it's never been easier to build your niche tribe, but so many people don't want to do it. I'm a little bit puzzled. And the other thing is, I've just lost the thread of what my other thing was going to be, Lisa. But maybe you can remark about that. And then
I think the one main point you just made is that people are actually afraid to niche. I think that's when it comes down to it. They're just afraid. And it's hard because sometimes it's not obvious, but you have to do it. And then coming up with something that doesn't not feel right can be a bit arbitrary. Like, oh, I've just picked this niche. But that is what a good value proposition is. It's really solving a problem for a small group of people. And you can only do it for a larger group if you've done it for a small group. And so I think that's really the fear. The fear isn't the building the group. It's creating the niche. And then, we don't like turning people off by, nature, right? So that's what you're going to have to do. That some people will be like, oh, you're not for me anymore. And they'll go, and we have to take that chance. So we're not really creating a business that's going to have it's going to take way more effort and way more money to get attention if we don't have a really narrow focus. So
I've just remembered my last question.
Okay.
And you've mentioned it a few times, minimum viable product. And that's one of the reasons why I was so delighted that Rob Rowling decided to be a speaker at the event. I'm not a close friend, but I've become a friend of Rob and his wife, his fantastic wife that runs the Zen podcast. He's built up multiple $1 million businesses, and the last one was Drip, and he runs a podcast for bootstraps startups.
Yeah.
So he's all about minimum viable product. And I think people, and it's linked to the War and Peace course and the other things that we've discussed, people just don't realize how much they're going to learn by getting their first few students through their membership. That educated guesses are great. We all have to do them because we just don't have the luxury of being able to get all the data, and we just have to base on gut and experience, haven't we?
Yeah.
But you do your best, but a lot of the assumptions you're going to make about what parts of your course are going to be the most popular, what the people are going to rave about, the bits that they're going to talk about on social media and on their Facebook groups aren't the bits that you think they're going to. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. It's really hard to predict the value, the true value in the eyes of the client. And that sometimes shifts as well. And so I think that's why we are like it's way too risky to put it all out there and then hope for the best. But I think people just get scared that their idea isn't going to take off, and so they create it anyway and just think, well, if I put my best into it, it will take off because it has to. And we really need to test it first. And there's so many ways to test an idea. Like when I first decided I would niche down into memberships, the first thing I did, I was in a large community group on business, different business owners, micro businesses. And I wrote a blog post and I posted it in there and I talked a little bit about it. And then I got all these people commenting and asking questions. I got a client out of it. I thought, okay, well, this is a good test. It means that there's traction out there. So it wasn't a major like I didn't go and do anything other than just test it with putting my ideas out there and my perspective. And I think that is a better way to do it than to create an entire course that you don't know because you haven't spent the time with people. And even if you've done it privately before and you're shifting to doing it to membership, you still don't know how something is going to work in that format, even if it worked in a different format, like with less clients or one-on-one or something like that. So I think that's where we have to.
I hope from the 2 days, and if they pay for the pay ticket, they will join us on the 3rd day, where it's going to be more smaller group, and it's going to be more kind of educational training.
Yeah.
And obviously I've got Neil Schaffner, one of the most fantastic social media and influencer expert. Influencer's got a little bit of a bad connotation, but it's one of the most exciting, in my opinion, exciting ways of promoting a business in 2022. And he's an expert on that and really a hard worker and somebody that really knows what he's doing. I've really enjoyed this discussion, Lisa. I think it's been a fantastic chat.
Me too. And I'm very excited about the summit. I can't wait to participate.
Well, me and my team have really spent a lot of time trying to find and I've utilised my extensive network to try and persuade some people that wouldn't normally present on something like this to become, and like Morten Henderson, the lead trainer at LinkedIn Learning, the learning platform. Wow. He doesn't normally would agree to come on this, but he's a personal friend of mine, Lisa. And I'm not the brightest tool in the toolbox, but I'm not the bluntest. And he's, intellectually.
Always said by very intelligent people.
Pardon? Sorry. I'm not the bluntest, but I'm not the sharpest. I'm a slow learner. I get there, but I'm a plodder, Lisa.
Deep thinker. That's what I like to call it. Deep thinker.
Yeah, I just plod along slowly and I get there. But what I'm so envious is Morten is one of these people that can just jump straight and like 4 hurdles and be 4 steps in front of you. Yeah. And I just hate it really, Lisa, but it is what it is. So just to wrap up, how can people find out more about you and your thoughts? And it's so obvious your deep understanding of this area, Lisa.
Yeah, well, my website is scalingdeep.com and I have some free training you can hop into. You just you'll find it. It's all over my website. And because I can help people privately if you do want to do that consultation piece so that you don't.
I think they would get enormous value out of that, wouldn't they? Having a few words.
Oh, yeah, because it's a lot of decision making. And that's what I help people with. It's really making decisions, because if we're stuck in indecision, we don't take action. And it's all about taking action and starting the tests. So so that's the best place to find me.
I'm always surprised in the age of the internet that people before I bought my last car, I did a bit of research.
Yeah.
People with this it's a substantial investment of time, effort, sweat equity, or money, or both, if you're going to build a successful membership site.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like buying a car, buying a house. I'm always amazed, or something big, the amount of time when you say, how much research you did? Oh, couple of hours, and then we did. I just like the look of it, and I went in the showroom, and it was around the monthly payment that I was looking to pay, and I bought it. I'm always amazed when I ask people this, and it's the same with membership. I'm going to build a membership site and spend about 6 months of my life.
I know. And I don't think people equate that way with efficiency around just like making those decisions and getting like quick feedback, quick validation, just literally like talking out what it is you want and then having someone reflect back and be like, oh, I can see that. Is this what you mean? Or yeah, I don't quite understand. Please clarify. And that's like so much feedback in that interaction. So yeah, it makes a big difference, because then you really get a sense of like what you're up for, and then you can begin. And you know what? The sooner we test things, the sooner we know, or the sooner we can change the little things that will make it, the difference between like, yeah, okay, it works and it's really got legs. So I think that's where people spend too much time getting stuck, and then they burn out before they get anywhere, and then give up. And when we burn out and we get disappointed, we give up. And that's pretty much why things don't succeed. It's like, you just never give up. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a whole subject in its own. We can discuss.
I mean, you can give up, but on an
it's
idea,
tricky, isn't it? It's tricky.
Yeah, it's there are ideas that aren't great, but I think not taking action and not taking small steps, because we either take overwhelming steps and to go too far and then get disappointed and then throw everything out, isn't really the way to do it. So I think that's the problem. It's like, we're not all or nothing. We need to be like paced and take step by step, get a little bit of support, carry on.
Yeah, it's like most people give up too early. That is true.
Yeah.
When you look at the statistics, most people underestimate the amount of time and effort something's going to take.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's a much smaller group, but you've got to realise there's a certain stage you're flogging. Sorry to use the term, flogging a dead horse.
Yes.
You're flogging a dead horse. It ain't the business model. What you thought isn't panning out. Either you pivot or you call it a day and you move on to something. You lick your wounds and you move on, and you try and learn something from the experience. But I do agree with you. When you look at the statistics, it's that most people give up too early. They don't do micro pivots, as I call them.
Because our competitors are selling some of the same things. So if they can do it, I mean, we can do it. It just means that we have to look at what is making them successful. And if we don't have the same factors, then we got to find our factors. But it doesn't mean that people aren't buying these kinds of things. But we just have to do it in a way that again, tests it out. And, if we look at big competitors, they didn't get there overnight. And if they did, it's like a rare few people that we just keep hearing their stories all the time.
I'm probably going to get it wrong to wrap it up. Is that probably getting this wrong? What's the saying? Overnight success normally takes 10 years of sweat and agony, or something, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Overnight success took over 10, 15 years of practice, training, early mornings, late evenings. To get there.
Yeah.
And
lots of failures too, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So just to finish off, please come to the membershipsuccesssummit.com. You'll find it's, like I say, on the 29th of 30th to the 1st of October. The first 2 days are totally free. You can watch all these great speakers like Lisa for free. It's a quick and easy sign up. Then you'll be offered the pay ticket with a load of value in the pay ticket as well. But if you don't want to take it up, no problem. You can just join us for the free 2 days. Like I say, I've been blown away by the speakers. I would watch it myself. That's how I judge if something's successful, Lisa. Would I watch it myself, right? And I would.
No bias there.
Yeah, that is the start of the success matrix. Would I attend myself if I was interested in membership? If I had thinking about starting one, or I was looking to grow one, I would want to listen to some of these speakers.
Oh, for sure.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Lisa. I look forward to your presentation, and we'll see you soon, folks. Tomorrow I've got Morton Henderson. That will probably go on for an hour and a half, that discussion. Me and Morton get together. It could go anywhere, folks. I literally... artificial intelligence, the state of the web, membership, you name it, we'll probably be talking about it, me and Morton. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.